Yeah, so I was gonna say so DK. David,
Yep.
DK, appreciate you coming on, man.
I'm happy to be here.
You know,
man. Thank
like
you
I
for
said
having me.
when it was on the way here, like obviously with grief, like you said you've been through a lot of grief, and it's it's complicated. And that's one way of describing it.
Complex.
But like I remember I was telling you when I saw your post about your dad, and that seemed quite like complex as well, innit? But just like obviously however much you want to share, how much you feel sharing, just kind of like talk about that your story with that with the passing of your dad.
Yeah, so I don't want to start too far back because I don't want to rant, but obviously I never grew up with my father.
Yeah.
So my dad lived in Kenya. I'm half Kenyan, half Jamaican.
Yeah.
So I was born here, and then me and my family moved back to Kenya when I was born. I stayed there till I was 3. My parents obviously then split up. Obviously the marriage broke down. Me and my sisters came back here with not really much. It was really hard, but obviously my dad was he was present in my life in terms of he would write to me and call me and stuff, and I would have some sort of a relationship with him, but it wasn't anything really strong. Like, so I didn't really know my father growing up in it. So obviously I always had the anticipation that when I get older, I'm gonna eventually get to meet him. I'm gonna go back to Kenya and again and see him. Which obviously that never got to happen because we never had a lot of money. So obviously we didn't have the finances for me to fly back there. But obviously by the time I'm doing my GCSEs, that's when he passed during my exams, innit? So my mum tried to hide it. They were on the phone talking about obviously, you know, I knew he was sick and stuff, but I didn't know how bad it was.
Yeah.
So I was literally sitting on the stairs in the house and I overheard the conversation. And I remember I came downstairs and I looked at her and I was like, you tried to hide that from me, kind of thing, innit? And I remember I got so mad, bro. I remember I punched through the chair, like it was a wooden chair. I punched it, broke the
Wait,
chair.
how old was you then?
I was like 15, 16 years
So
old.
no, that's
yeah.
strength for 15.
Yeah, I bust up my hand and everything. But do you know what it was? Him passing made me very angry. I became a very angry person after that because I just felt robbed. To be honest with you, I felt like I'd been robbed. I was like, I never really knew you growing up. I never really got to have a dad, and now you're dead. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's like my sisters, they had a father in Kenya. They knew my dad, you know, for a portion of their childhood. I never remembered him. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So at the time, it was more anger as opposed to just feeling grieved. It was more like, bro, I'm never going to get to know what you're like, how you think. Do you know what I mean? I'm never going to get to see you, see what I look like in real time. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, because your father is your mirror, so to speak. You get me? So for my life, I've had to kind of unlearn myself by myself, as opposed to having that person who will teach you kind of who you are. This is where you come from. This is who, you know. I'm your father. You look like me. You're like me, like this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
like a reference point, like growing up.
And it's like I can only go by the stories my sisters told me. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it was like it took me a while to really come to terms with that. Do you know what I mean? I would even say up till now, I've come to terms with it, but it took me a long time, bro. Do you know what I mean? I'll be honest with you. It was one of them things that I was a person who used to like live in denial when it comes to grief.
Yeah.
I used to just kind of, oh, that's happened. Okay, cool. You know, it's not nice. Life isn't fair. Bad things happens to everyone. Get on with it. That's how I was. Do you know what I mean? I would always kind of belittle what I've been through because I'm like, oh, you know, someone's been through worse. Someone's been through, lost both their parents, or they lost this, or they lost that, or this happened to them, and da da da. So I would always belittle my pain. But it's only recent years that I've kind of realized, you know what, I need to feel these things through. I need to come to terms with things and accept things for what they are.
I just wanted to add a point. So you know when you said that you people go through much worse than other people. So I think that's a good example of what you said because I think grief is a bit complicated. So I think with that comes resentment, and obviously you got to be careful with resentment because you don't want to hold things to certain people or blame them for the cause of the death or why they wasn't there, because obviously everyone goes through different experiences, and obviously the question that pops in my head is, why do bad things happen to good people? So in like I don't want to get into like morality sense, but obviously that's kind of what it is when you go through this experience, I'm just trying to think of a word. Everyone goes through suffering, but so obviously, some people's suffering will be different
to others.
to other people. But I think that's a part of life when you go through grief, because you're never gonna understand why you're going through it. But maybe the answer might be in front of you, or maybe we're overcomplicating the answer.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
do you know, like for me, like with the whole why do bad things happen to good people? I kind of like, for me, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's weird, something like common sense for me in a way, because it's like we live in a mad world where bad things happen to everyone, and it's like one thing I kind of made peace with, you can't control things you can't control. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like death and premature death or sickness or accidents. A lot of these things, nobody plans for it. Do you know what I mean? People don't even nowadays. You know, everyone's doing life insurance and stuff. But even then, it's like no one's planning to leave anytime soon.
Yeah.
And no one's planning to lose anyone anytime soon. But it happens. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's so weird. Like this is just random. It's almost like a bittersweet. But a girl that I know passed away today. I just found out. It's crazy. I don't even know how she passed. But do you know what I mean? It's like things like that. It's like, how do you prepare yourself? Anyone to encounter something of that nature. How do you mentally prepare? Do you know what I mean? And for me, you can't. It's impossible. The only thing you can do is love people while they're with you, and appreciate them while they're here. And for me, like I read something yesterday where it says, you know, a lot of the things we say at funerals should be said at birthdays, should be said at graduations and dinners, and just in conversation. There's so much love that you leave until someone's gone to share them and let them know, but they can't hear you anymore. So why don't you do it when they're alive? And that's the only way you can prepare for grief and death, I believe, is that you love the people whilst they're still here. And you'll always get it right, but just make that conscious effort that, you know what, this person, I have a last day with them. I've got a last phone call. I've got a last outing. I've got a last dinner date. I've got a last chill day or whatever, go picnic, whatever it is. I've got a last day with so-and-so. So I don't know when that's coming. So let me love them as much as I can within reason as a friend or whatever it is they are to me while they're here.
But you know what? One thing that I agree with what you're saying, like we don't often, when it comes to grief, we don't expect it. So like back to your point about why don't we tell people whilst they're here, you know, oh, I love you, you know, I appreciate this, because we just think they're gonna be there. We don't like when I was on the way here, I was saying like grief is life and death is part of life, but we don't process that. We're just like, you know what, my boy, we're gonna grow up together, do this and that together. But the thing is, like we don't know. Like every year that goes by, we always pass the day when we're gonna pass away. I don't know if I explained that right, but what I'm like, it's mad because like we don't know when. Obviously, of course, I don't want to be. Obviously, this is a podcast on grief, so I'm not trying to be morbid and say, touch wood, we're all gonna live long. do you know what I mean? But it's like we don't expect it. That's why it's like it's always a shock, because, like for me personally, not to go on too much. Like I lost like a family friend, and I was so baffled. I'm thinking, what? Like we're the same age. Like young people don't. You know what I'm trying to say? We don't pass away. Like now you talk to one of your boys like, yeah, what are you doing? Oh, let's plan this holiday for next year. Let's do this and that. Because you just think we're gonna grow together. But as much as we're in close proximity, our journeys are different and our time are different. But naturally and rightly so, we don't think, oh, you know, I'm gonna. Oh, there might be a time when he might not be here anymore, and that's a scary thing. Like you said, yeah, we can get life insurance, preparing it, but there is no guide to prepare for it. Do you know what I mean? It's just about. I would say almost like, maybe I can just speak for myself, like almost like I'm just winging it.
Yeah.
Like, cool, okay, one day it's like, oh, here we go again. Next day it's like, oh, I'm cool. Next day it's like, I'll never say I'm an expert when it comes to grief, but for me, losing both parents, yes, opened my eyes to a lot of things. It's changed me, made me angry, made me positive, all different emotions. But what I'm doing is literally expressing that bit by bit. And if it helps people along the way, like I said, here, us starting this, like, it's just a way of like talking about it, but helping people as well. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not always hard. It's not always hard to not easy to talk about, like grief and stuff. But it's like I feel like it needs to be heard, man. Because listen, people don't know how to process things, and I'm not gonna lie. Like sometimes maybe you don't take things too well, you don't process it too well. Like, you know, your reaction when your dad passed was anger. Like, I can't say that's wrong. Do you know what I mean? Because that's how you're processing it. Obviously, in time, you might realize, actually, okay, why am I angry? Why am I processing this? Because you feel like, you know, you felt robbed. You know, and no one can say, oh, you know, just calm down, or why are you doing this? Like, that's how you feel. And obviously over time, I don't know. Would you say like you still feel like that, or has your mindset
Nah,
changed?
do you know what? Over time, obviously, like I said, I've grown as a person myself. So I've been through numerous things. I've lost many people. Like one of my closest friends, I lost him 7 years ago, 2014, 2015. He passed away. So for me, like I'm very familiar with losing people that I care about and grief and things, family members as well as friends. So for me, the more that I grow as a person, the more I understand how little control you have over things. And my father never planned to leave when he did. Do you know what I mean? He wanted to see me. He wanted to have that relationship that we were supposed to have, I believe. But life threw a curveball, and it is what it is. And it's like, one thing for me, it's like, it's kind of made me understand, tell people you love them as much as you can, because you actually don't know. And it's like, it's not even in like a sneaky kind of, I'm doing this because I have to. But like, for example, I knew Cadet, for example. I knew Cadet personally, do you know what I mean? And he was a person that always told people
Yeah,
he
he,
loved
he
them.
was like that.
He
Yeah,
was always that way. And for me, I'm a naturally very affectionate person myself. And it's like, life will make you want to not be that way because people leave you, people die, whatever. But one thing is, like, if you do love somebody, make them know whilst you have the chance to do so. I do believe that. I'm a full advocate for that. Because like I said, it's like, we have this illusion of immortality. Even though we don't say it, everyone acts, we're young men. We just assume I'm gonna be here till whenever this world cuts out. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna have a family. I'm gonna have children. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go on holiday. I'm gonna accomplish X, Y, Z. And God willing, you will. But at the same time, I can't guarantee your tomorrow. You can't guarantee my tomorrow. Only God can. So it's like, whilst you're here, I have to appreciate you and your presence whilst you're here, because I do not know the day when you're gonna get called home. I don't know when I am. Do you know what I mean? So the only preparation, like I said, you can have is that you loved the person whilst they were in your presence.
yeah,
But the only problem is that we don't do that enough, or we don't show it. So as soon as that comes, that's when we realize, oh, I could have told them this or that. So
But then we got, do you know what I've noticed? People fall back into the same thing of, oh, you feel the grief, you feel the sadness, then you still neglect those that matter to you. And I don't mean like we have to speak on the phone every day, but little things,
yeah, yeah.
just little, like I'm a, like someone like me, someone could text me once in a few, every other day, just to see how you doing, bro. That to me is love, because it's like you actually matter to you, or just a hug, or just a conversation, or just going for a walk down the road. These little things, we think that it's in the big things that people notice that you love them. It's in the little things. Someone could be having a horrible day and you just text them out of the blue. 2 seconds, bro. 50, 30 seconds. What's going on? I hope you're well. I'm spoken to you in a minute. Just let you know I'm here.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know
just
what I mean?
just checking in,
Just
or you
checking
know what I
in.
mean?
And it's like, for me, it's something that you make a practice. It isn't something that just happens. It's something that you actually intentionally do, and it's something that you incorporate as part of your lifestyle. Because at least when that last day does come, whether it's yours or theirs, you'll be able to leave the world knowing, or they can leave the world knowing that they were loved by this person.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
appreciated by this person. They were appreciated, because a lot of people leave this world feeling neglected. And that's not a way that anyone should leave this world. I don't believe. I don't think that's the way that God wants us to leave people. I want someone to leave me knowing, bro, David loved me. That was my friend, or that was my brother, or my whatever, my G, my guy. He really appreciated my presence while I was here. I want people to know that, and I feel like our society is losing that, man. We're losing that, man, in the pursuit of the dreams and the whatever.
It's true, but I feel like sometimes as well, like we'll get caught up in quote unquote life. So I don't say we don't have time, or we can make time. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes it might be a simple thing of like maybe just have like not necessarily like a system or rota, but okay, cool. On Monday, let me just send this person, that person, just to see what they're saying. It can be like a little phone call.
Yeah.
You make time out of your thing, and it's not to say like, oh, I'm doing this so that they can say, oh, I wasn't there for them. But you just never know. Like,
Yeah.
just check in, because what I see now, like, when people pass away, like social media, the practice is usually okay, or like it's mad that how this happened. But why is it that we can't put pictures up when just on a random one? You know what? This is my bro. I'm proud of you. Like, but and I get it, when people pass away, that's what we do, and there's nothing wrong with it. But it's like sometimes as well, it's like, damn, Like, because I think I saw something this morning as well. I don't know. I don't know the person. I was like, in my head, I was like, I don't know her, but I was just like, bro, like that's a bit mad. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm only saying off the messages people were saying, and again, going back to your point, like, life is so short.
Bro, so
Like, there's no, oh, you know, we pass away when we're this age or that age or when you're young, and it's scary because I feel like, you know, I do want to. I'm not gonna say, yeah, you know what. As much as I talk about grief and death and stuff, of course I want to live as much as I can. I'm sure we all do, but the reality is, like, listen, man, your time will be your time. Like, that's why, like, it's not about the quantity, it's the quality.
quality.
So whatever it is you're trying to do, like, achieve, like, yes, granted there will be setbacks or whatever, but listen, like, when it's all said and done, it's about thinking, you know what, I had a good quality of life. So whether you feel, oh, I don't want to text so-and-so, 'cause I don't want to feel like I'm being too, like, oh, I love you, dude. But tell them, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the thing is as well, like, maybe it's not so much, it's not really like we're not conditioned to be like, oh, on a random one, listen, I love you, bro, you're my bro, or you're my sis, or this and that. It's like, why are you saying this? Are you feeling okay? Like, do you know what I mean? Did something happen? But no, I'm just, you know,
And
I'm just appreciate you. Do you know what I mean?
It's interesting because it's like, when did just little gestures of love become too much? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
when did we become so focused on attaining things, but people who are priceless? It's like, oh, you know what? I don't want to be seen as what?
But that's where it starts from. I don't want to be seen as. That's where it starts from. Because, like, when you're saying that, that's what's holding you back. But if you, like, you know what, and I'm gonna, like, I do it too. I was like, the message this person say, oh, you know, I appreciate it. They're gonna think, oh, you're moving too emotional, you're moving. But sometimes, like, listen, you know, if I'm thinking about someone,
Just
do
message
it.
it. Because you know what's mad? Because I understand, you know, society's weird and people think, oh, you know, they're going to think I'm soft and all these things. But there's going to be a time, and I'm not wishing it on anyone, of course, I'm just saying it, but when you won't even get the opportunity to text them, they won't be here anymore. Do you know what I mean? And for me, when I think like that, I'm texting you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
It's that
calling you,
urgency in it.
because it's like, I think to myself, if that person crossed my mind right now, why would I not call them? If I'm not busy, yo, how you doing? How's your day? How's your week going? What's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on? I just thought about you. I thought I'd give you a shout, see how you are. But bro, the person may not even in the moment be like, yeah, thank you. But inside, they might be thinking, raw, appreciate that, you know? Because sometimes people are weird, innit? They don't want to always show how they feel. I appreciate that, you know?
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you, bro.
yeah, yeah.
But you'd be surprised, bro. You know, one thing I've realized, yeah, for myself is you may never even get told by people how you affect them, you know? The things you do, the things you say, how you love, how you are. You may never hear from the horse's mouth, right, you're so different, you're loving, you're this. They may never tell you that because people, like I said, everyone's very guarded and they don't want to be too whatever. But you may affect people in a way that you don't even have any clue you do. Just by things you say or things you do or things you post or things you quick tweet or how you treat people. People actually notice things. I notice things about people that they don't even notice about themselves. But I'm a person, I'll tell you, I think you're wonderful. I'm like that, but not everyone's that way. Some people will notice it and be like, raw, my man's like that. That's different. That's a proper, he's a proper stand-up guy or she's a proper nice girl. They notice these things. So for me, it's like, I love not because of how people will respond to it, but because that's what I'm supposed to do. That's who I'm supposed to be. So whether or not someone acknowledges or rates it,
It's up to them.
it's up to them. Do you know what I mean? But I know what I'm here to do. I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm gonna do what's right and what is correct by people. I love people, and I want them to know that while they're alive.
Yeah, no, it's important, and like what you said earlier about that feeling of, okay, you know what, like they might not be here one day, so let me just text them because that urgency isn't really usually there. And I think for me, sometimes I know, like, I always say to myself and some friends, I'm not always the best at keeping in contact, but my thing is that when I need to be there, whether it's major events, whatever, I'll make sure I'm there. I'm not saying that kind of warrants me not being able to text back or send a little message here and there, but I always see that as, okay, you know what? So, okay, I may not be the best at checking on you, but when you need me, I'm there. But it's also about having the balance of both. Like, I remember a couple weeks ago, like, my grandma, she's in her maybe about 83. Like, somehow she always calls me, and the last convo, I felt a bit bad because she was like, you know what, you know, how you doing? I always say, Grandma, you sound well, like 83, like you still sound strong. And she's like, oh, you never. She said that as kind of a joke, but you're like, oh, you don't even kind of call me, and I couldn't even say nothing because it's true, I don't. I don't. But I'm like, okay, just call her once a month. Just make, if you got to do, just set a little thing on your phone. Okay, once a month, call grandma and say this. There's nothing wrong with that. And the thing is, more time we speak for like at least no more than 10 minutes. That's it, 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be long convos. It can be, but just to think, okay, grandma, how you doing? What's the latest? Like, you know, and obviously for her, she's from like we're generations apart, but just that will probably make her day or make. Do you know what I mean? Because as much as I can be like, you know what, God willing, she live on to like,
You just don't know.
you know, 90 or 100, God willing, but I don't know in it, and it's like. So long as you do that, at least you probably made her day. You don't know, so I don't want to have that. Oh, you know, I wish I called this person more, or wish I'd done that more. Even if it's a case where like that person may be a bit anti or whatever, but I'll still try. I'll still try because you don't want to have that regret, man.
Jeez, bro,
Like you don't want to have that regret. Oh, what if I told them? And if, again, back to what you said, it's always about I don't want them to think. But then how do you stop that? We're conditioned into it to thinking, oh, I don't. It's innate. It's hard to just not think
weird.
that.
Do you know what it is for me? Like, I think I'm a person. I spend portions of my life by myself.
Yeah.
Like, so I'll retreat and I'll just sometimes give myself time to reflect on things and just think about who I am as a person, away from everyone else. And I feel like we live in a generation where people are so used to being around people all the time. So even like yesterday, for example, I took myself to drives by myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even one of my cousins, they were in a film. I went to watch it by myself a few years ago. I spend time with myself just talking to God and reflecting. And I feel like that's how you kind of learn who you are away from people, so that when you're around people, you know how to be yourself regardless of what people do. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And a lot of people, they're like, "Right, you go out by yourself sometimes. You go Nando's and sit down by yourself." I'm like, yeah, because I'm not by myself. I'm just on my own, but I'm still like, I still have my own mind. I still have, you know what I mean, my own thoughts, my own reasoning. I get some good ideas there. I learn about myself. I actually reflect on things that I do or don't do right. Do you know what I mean? So I don't really care about people's opinions the way that other people might care. Do you know what I mean? The only time I care about opinions is my conduct, in terms of how I live and how I treat people. That's what I care about. But in terms of like how I'm made, I don't care. I'm unique. You know what I mean? I don't allow someone else's perceptions or what perceptions to affect how I treat people, because I know how I'm built. So for me, it's like, you might think love is a bit weird or soft. That's your issue. That's not my problem. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I like that.
So yeah, with that, I have peace, man.
Or maybe because those people didn't experience love, so maybe that's why they're conditioned to just lock love out. Like, I don't know, in their life or something. So maybe they don't understand it, or they don't know how to express it.
Yeah, it could be a bit of that. And like I said, we live in a social media generation, so a lot of stuff is propagated through memes and, you know, life coaches and all these people that claim they know everything. But for me, like, I'm a Christian, I'm born again, and I just believe that the person who knows you the best and understands you the best is the one that made you. So I go to him, I go to God as my source of who am I? Who have you made me? Why did you make me the way I am? Why is my heart the way it is? And for me, when you kind of understand God and know him, it gives you confidence in who you were made to be. So what people think or don't think of you affects you way less, to be honest with you. I don't really care about a lot of petty stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, my friends know how I feel about them. People that know me, my family know I love them. My sisters know I love them. I've got two older sisters, I think I told you, and one of them lives in Purley, one lives in Woking.
Yeah.
And I don't always get to see them, but we talk every week. And they know I love them. They don't have to question, does my brother love me? They know. We talk on the phone, we check in. I went to visit my sister in Woking a few weeks ago, and it's been a while, but it was lovely. Do you know what I mean? I felt peace. I always feel peace with my older sister, and she's like one of my safe spaces in this world, and she knows that, you know, I'm always there for her regardless. And it's like, I want her to always know that. I don't want there to be a moment in her mind where she's like, does my brother love me? You know what I mean? She doesn't have to hear my voice every second, but as long as she knows that he cares, that for me is enough. So that, God forbid, obviously, I pray that she lives long. I pray that I live long.
Yeah.
But at least whatever memory she leaves this world of me with, she'll know her brother loved her, and that is important to me.
Yeah, that's I rate that. And like, even that your mindset now, having that, you know, giving people their flowers, as I like to call it, you know, you seem to do it with ease, without no thinking, oh, they gonna think of me? Should I don't want them to think I'm too like, oh, are they thinking David's soft or David's doing this and that? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, but would you say like grief had a part to play in that?
No. Funnily enough, I don't think it did. Because we all lose people, but not everyone learns. Do you know what I mean? Like, one thing I remember that came to me the other day was, it's not how much experience you have, it's how much you learn from experiences. People don't need to die for you to appreciate them. I don't believe that at all. Because people lose people. Look how many gang members on the roads lose their friends and they're still out there doing the same thing. They haven't learned. They haven't learned. They've experienced, but they haven't actually learned from that experience. Do you know what I mean? When I was out there with my friends, I lost friends and for people, different circumstances, but I didn't learn immediately. But for me, it's like I said, I reflect a lot. I think, I meditate, and I think about my actions, and from that, that's more how I learn. Do you know what I mean? That's when I realized, hold on, like, why did I do that again? What was the reason behind me doing that action or not doing so and so thing when I know I should or shouldn't do that? Do you know what I mean? And that's how I learn. I actually take time to gauge where I've gone wrong, where I need to do better, where I need to improve, and I'm trying to become better at doing that.
Yeah.
Because that's, for me, that's how you learn. Like, you can have a million experiences in this life and not learn a damn thing, bro. Like, do you know what I mean? People do. People go, relationships, money. People don't learn. They just do the same thing and they experience.
Just racking up experiences, but you've
it's
gained
just
nothing from it.
You've gained nothing from it. And people always say, I've experienced more than you. Fair enough, maybe you have, but what have you learned? What changes can I see that you've taken from those experiences that outnumber mine? I can have less experience than you, but choose to learn from them. So I grow faster than you do. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And for me, that's exactly how it is with people. I've just understood simple understanding that people are mortal. They have a finite amount of years on this earth. I don't know how long they have. I don't know how long I have. So with that being in mind, as the King David said in the Bible, teach me to number my days, because that I may apply wisdom. And wisdom is a principal thing. It's in relationships. It's in every aspect of life. You need wisdom. And with people, because you don't know how long you have with them, be wise with the time you have. Because you don't know how long you have. It's not even like when you really think about it, it's not rocket science. It's just common sense. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, it's not in the abundance of big things that someone knows that they're loved. It's just in the small little things you do every other day, every day, here and there. 5-minute call, 2-second text, going for a walk, going to knock for them. Let's go down to the pub, or let's go and watch the match. I'll come around and play PlayStation with you for an hour or so. Little things like that people will know, right? This person values me. They love me. That's all it is. It's little things.
Yeah, I think one thing I'm beginning to do more often is call family, friends, try to check up on them at least once a week, because obviously you don't know what could happen in 7 days, because a lot can happen, and obviously you being there might just be the ticket of their way out. And sometimes I talk to them for 10 minutes and it ends up being an hour or 2 hours, and it's like, can you be surprised with a lot of what people are going through, but they just don't know who to tell, because I think they're afraid that they might go out there and gossip. But I think if you know yourself, you wouldn't go telling people. So I think that's when you have to practice being vulnerable with the right people, and obviously listening to them, but with understanding. So
Facts.
that's
100%.
important.
And one thing I understand about love is you can never control how someone receives love. That's the one thing, and that's the thing. I think that's what makes people scared, is that you can't control if someone's gonna receive the love, permanently, temporarily, or just throw it in your face. You don't know, and that's where the risk is. But without risk, there is no reward in life. Period. Across the board, like. If you don't apply for the job, you never know if you're going to be able to get the job. If you don't try and ask the girl out, you never know if she'll say yes. If you don't try things, you're going to get no result, rather than a some sort of a result. You might get a bad one, you might get a good one. You just don't know. But that's the thing about love. Love is a free will thing. It isn't something that you can force. But the one thing I know is that somebody may move mad if I show them love. But deep down, I don't know what effect I'm really having on that person. They could be going through all sorts. Remember, everyone's gone through things and different experiences in life, and it's made them and it's molded them a certain type of way. But you who know what's right and what's wrong and know what love is, I believe it's a responsibility to exhibit that in any way you can throughout life, throughout the course of your life. Because like I said, you can't control what others do. You can only control what you do.
It's true though, because like that risk of like, okay, I'm gonna text this person, and I'm not saying we should do stuff to kind of necessarily get something back. You should just do it out of the kindness of the nature. That's your nature. Just do it because you want to do it. But sometimes it's like you reach out to someone, but they're not being receptive, and in some cases it can be frustrating. You're like, hold on, a minute, like I'm proper like trying here, but some people are going through things, man. You know what it is, and like I said earlier, like it can be difficult sometimes because that person might be going through something so deep to the point where they're kind of like, pushing people away, but still try, still like, even if you know, for like you say you text someone, every time you text them, oh let's do something, that person say, oh no, I can't. Normally you be like, you know what, I'm never gonna stop. I'm gonna stop hollering at you, Yeah, of course, do your thing, man. Yeah,
Sorry, man,
that's cool, man. Like you might be like, oh, you know what, I'm not gonna holler at you anymore because like every time I text you, you're saying no, but still try because they might be going through something. You might be successful on an attempt trial or whatever it might be, and again, sometimes it's not easy to get through people, but even people closest to you are going through things like, and you just don't even know, but like you said earlier, like that 10-minute conversation can mean so much. They might not tell you, but I'm like, right, you know what?
It was so much.
Oh, like David hollered at me, like wow, like I feel so much better now.
Get me?
Do you know what I mean?
And you know what's mad as well? When you think about your own life and what you go through yourself, can you imagine what other people are dealing with and you don't have a clue? And they don't have a clue what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
But you're, maybe for whatever reason, you understand love better than them or how to express it. So shouldn't the one who understands be the one to try to sometimes put their foot forward? Because I said, not everyone understands love. Like, if you look out at the world that we live in now, social media and everything, a lot of people's perception of love is very warped and it's very perverted because of things people have been through, people promote and say and do and put out there. So if there is people out there that understand, you know what, love is an active thing, love is a commitment, it's a choice, it's a decision I make daily, then I'm like, if I'm that person, let me be the one to exhibit that, because you never know, I may rub off on someone enough and they may get it as well, and then they are able to go and fix things, and they're able to go and be an example as well. So let me not be so afraid of what people will and won't do. Let me be more afraid of me not doing anything.
You're coming with the quotes, boy. There's so many quotes. I'm thinking, I'm going to use so many quotes, and honestly, it's true though, and it's like that's why I kind of love to see. Even though like myself, I try to adopt that mindset because again, like I said to you earlier, like the reason why we started this was like because of grief, and like, and I'm sure Ben can probably attest to this as well. Like it changes me, and yeah, for the person I was 6 years ago is definitely the person I am now. Like I feel a bit more profound. I feel like I'm living with purpose, and sometimes I'm like, okay, am I doing too much? Am I being too deep? Am I, am I on a come? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I always feel like, but it's like this is me now, innit? I can't like be ashamed of that. I can't like, if people feel, okay, you know what, Jay, I can't like, you've been a bit too deep, bro. We're trying to just chill right now. You're moving a bit mad, saying all this deep stuff, but that's me, innit?
That's who you are.
And it isn't to say that I can't like relax or have a moment to be chilled, but when I think of life, I'm more thinking of, you know what, yeah, like I know now. Listen, I don't know when my time is. I'm not invincible or immortal. Like I know, like if I go out, and walk in the middle of the road, something's gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? I'm not gonna be, oh yeah, I've gone through grief now. I got a superpower. Listen, nothing can faze me because I lost both parents, and I'm still here, bro. Like I can still get hit by a truck. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I'm not silly in that sense, but I do know, okay, cool. In that scenario, okay, I've got to cross the road, and even at that, I hope I cross safely. Do you know what I mean? It's all these different things that I'm not saying like, just because I've been through grief doesn't mean I now don't know that my days are numbered, but not in a mad way, but it's like I'm more appreciative now. Do you know what I mean? And it's a little thing sometimes because we're all going through something, man. Like, and it's hard. Like, so whether it's like a friend or like whoever it may be, like just being kind to them, and even just one thing, what Ben said earlier about speaking to family members, even like more so now, I do that a lot. Like me and my aunt. So my aunt is my mum's younger sister. Like we're so close. Like, and sometimes you know what it is, especially when you get older and you live with family, it's so quick to like, okay, like you come in, go out, I'm going out, and it's like sometimes just have a little convo. It can be about anything. Like more time, like me and my aunt, we talk about like what was we talking about the other day? Like okay, the England players, but like how it's all it's mad how this country is still racist. England don't deserve nothing. Like, the fans are just useless, all that kind of stuff. But it's like those little convos, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, is everything. Because as much as I'm getting older, she's getting older, but she will appreciate that.
Yeah.
She will appreciate, okay, cool, you know what, let's all go out for a meal, like just something like
Just
ain't got to be all the time, but even once a month, a little meal. Do you know what I'm trying to say? They appreciate that, and that's the same mentality I have with friends. Like, oh, man, then what we doing? Just want to go for a little meal. It ain't got to be nothing fancy, just so we can just chill. Like, all these different things.
I'll share this with you, and I know they won't mind me mentioning. I've got like a few close friends of mine. There's a guy called New J. He's like, he works with Link Up TV. He does videography. He's self-employed. One of my friends, Jojo, he's a rapper as well.
Yeah.
My friend Kevin, he does finance. My friend Aaron, he's like a builder and roofer. And like we've made a practice recently in the last few months where we regularly meet up. And we'll like just do something. We'll just go out somewhere to eat.
Yeah.
We'll go to one of the man them's house or just watch a game or play games or just order food and chill with each other and just talk. And it's like, it may not be an everyday thing, but it's every now and then, and we're just able to be around each other and just be in each other's company and spend time with each other. Because like I said, it's like we've all lost friends, we've all lost people, we've all lost, whether it's family or friends or both. Like we've all lost people, and it's like we love each other enough to know that, you know what, I don't know when this is gonna be the last day. I don't know that. Do you know what I mean? God willing, it will be years to come when you've had your kids and you've done this and that. But because of that uncertainty of life, God has made the world in a way where you just don't know what tomorrow's gonna hold. That's where you have to have faith and hope that tomorrow does come, and not only for you but for those that you love. But it's almost like you have to live every day with an intentionality and a purpose about it, because it's like you just don't know what you're going to wake up to. Are you going to wake up? Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's obviously, don't be morbid about it, but it's just a knowing of, I'm not here forever. And knowing that, let me use the time and the character that God gave me and the resources that God gave me to make my life better and those around me better, so that when I do close my eyes for the last time, I don't have regrets like, I should have loved more. I should have told them how I feel. I should have done this. I should have asked her out. I should have bought the flowers. I should have cooked the meal for my man, or whatever it is. Just the little things you could have done to just change other people's reality a bit more, make it better for them. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like that's what we're all here to do. We're all here to make everyone's life around us a bit better and a bit easier and a bit more comfortable and a bit more, make everyone feel like they mean something. Do you know what I mean? That's what we're all here for. We're communal beings. Yeah. We love community. We love relationships. Where we all crave relationships. I don't care how tough you act. All of us want to be known, loved, and acknowledged. Fundamentally, man or like male or female. Man don't say it as much because
that's the truth. That's me. I love my guys. Like, do you know what I mean? I love having a brotherhood. Like, do you know what I mean? It's you know what I'm saying? It's like I would never kind of like front about that, because essentially, when you go through things, you know what? Even like when we go, like, it's so funny. Like with Mandem, it's like we can go through money issues, the common one, girls, but your man will always be there, man. Like, I'm not saying those relationships are not important too. Obviously, female, like, of course, they're important too. But it's like, you know what? Cool. Right now, you can't see through, like, this heartbreak because it's still fresh. But trust me, bro, you'll bounce back. Yeah. But the man will be there, like, through it, after it. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And it's like, yeah, like you appreciate that, especially now. I appreciate those relationships because, of course, yeah, all that money and all that stuff is important. Don't get me wrong. I'm not never say it's not, but I appreciate like having a close unit, a close support system, because honestly, like when I think of life, not having people around me, it's like, yo, that'd be mad. Like having everything but not that, like, it's like, for me, true happiness is a balance of everything, all those things, because like we know life is tough, man. Like all we have is our time. So how we spend it, like you said, once in a while, you just man them, let's go here, let's do that.
Let's do something.
It doesn't, and I know like we're all engulfed in our own issues, and I get that. It's hard to kind of like kind of step aside at times and be like, you know what, cool, I wanna go out, I wanna do this and that, because you're so you're trying to sort yourself out. But once in a while, it hasn't gonna be anything crazy, like you said. Okay, maybe not go out. Maybe just okay, cool. Gonna come around yours and just chill and
Small
do
things.
something. Like, and
Do you know what I
again,
mean?
those little things, you never know what impact
They
it can
matter
have.
the
Do
most.
you know what I mean? So like, it's just important. Like, you know, and again, as with the whole theme of this, like, it's essentially like me personally, grief has made me a bit more like this, and you know, it's crazy because how something can literally change your life. Like literally, when I was on the way, I was like, I just thought, yeah, losing both friends, that's it. I'm not coming back from this. Like this like, it's crazy because even prior to that, my whole view of life was like, yeah, you know what, life, get a job, do this and that, just grow. Like I never thought in a million years like I'll lose both my parents. Not so much, not in my 20s. I'm like, nah, this ain't gonna happen right now. Like, maybe as I get in, when I get old, like I don't know, when I'm 70 or
70,
something.
100,
But you know what I'm
like,
saying?
60s,
And God's like, listen, I hear all that, bro, but life,
life is so
life in it,
crazy,
and you know sometimes you don't know how strong you are until you
have to be.
look back in hindsight and be like, you know what, it's mad. Like it's like little things that I wasn't able to do like 5 years ago. I'm able to do now. Like you know, like before, like I'll mention my mum, put a post up. I'll probably like either be teary-eyed or put a post up on Facebook or social media, on Instagram, sorry, and I'm taking it down after 5 minutes because I'm like, nah, okay, this is too much. But now, like, I talk about it with ease. Like, it's like, that's what I'm talking about. Anything,
Yeah.
like, it's kind of normal for me now. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, whilst I that's good for me, and I also understand that for others it's not the same. That's why, like, I always say with everyone that comes on, like, I appreciate you even coming on and sharing your story. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not an easy thing, and everyone is entitled to deal with it their own way. You know, like from what our conversation had, it seems like, you know, you're in a better place.
Yeah.
You've grown, that you've matured in terms of, like, you know, when you first heard the news of your father. Of course, like I'm not saying it goes away, but you just learn to deal with
learn
it
to
better.
grow with it. Like,
Do you know what I mean?
it's like I was saying. It's like similar to what you were saying about how you would when I put up a post and you'd be like, oh, you can't.
Yeah.
Like now I can talk about it. Obviously, like we were saying, it's like it's different when you acknowledge something's happened to you, but coming to terms with that thing and how it made you feel is a completely
Yeah.
separate thing. And they
Yeah.
don't really tell you that. Do you know what I mean? I feel like these are things
That's not in the handbook.
they don't teach you these things in school or mental health, about all these things about how the effects of trauma or grief or what it actually does to your to your mind. Do you know what I mean? And it's mad. Like I said, it's like I've been able to grow through reflection and through talking to people and through having conversations, and even like the whole love thing. Like I was saying, it's like there are people that I've shown love to, and it used to annoy them. Funnily enough, they used to be like, oh, look at this guy, man. He's always calling me about this or that. But then I remember there was one time, one person. I remember my church had a sports day, and there's a girl that obviously I brought to the Lord and I brought her to church and stuff. And she sat me down and said, "Do you know that if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here?" I was just there like randomly, just like, bro, where does this come from, kind of
Yeah.
thing. She's just like, no, when you used to talk to me, it used to annoy me at first because it was just like, bro, why is he so persistent? But you genuinely cared, and because of you, I'm here, and a lot of people are here because of you. And I thought, and bro, it was such a random thing, bro. It was, I didn't even explain.
You don't even know the impact you're having.
I didn't even, bro, this is my thing. I didn't know. And people are scared to show love because they're thinking, oh, they don't respect it. They don't appreciate it. You don't know. Some people, like I said, everyone's messed up in their own way. So you do not know that little gesture, like those things you're doing, you have no idea what you could be chipping away at. You don't know, bro. And you may find out 10 years later, 5 years later, you may not even ever see it, but you've done something that has left a mark on someone's life. And because that mark was left on their life, they may now go out and do even more. And that all stemmed from you. You being obedient to that call of love to treat people and love them in the right way and be that kind of person as an example. Because of being obedient to that, you don't know the ripple effect, the domino effect that could have on other people's lives. Not just the person you're loving, but the person that they're going to encounter. It's a domino effect, bro. Life is not just some linear sequence of things. It's like, trust me, it's a knock-on effect. So for me, I always live with that kind of futuristic viewpoint of whatever I do now, the smallest thing I do could ignite an entire fire. You know what I mean? I don't know. If I'm nice to that guy, that could give him hope for his life, and then he could become a big someone, and then he's impacting all these people purely because I was nice to him. It's deep. This thing is deep, bro.
Trust me.
It's mad. It's
I
mad.
remember watching. I was watching The Last Dance in like a month ago, and obviously there was an episode in one of them about how Michael Jordan's dad got killed by someone in a lake in South of America, and obviously when he found out the news that happened, obviously I don't know what was going through his head at the moment, but I didn't know this fact. So apparently, you know, the number 23 on his shirt.
Yeah.
He wore that because that was the same date that his dad passed
Oh,
away
swear.
in like July, early 90s or something. So that's something I didn't know, and he picked that number, and I thought it was interesting how what he went through affected him as a sport as a basketball player. So obviously, he's not the kind of person that you would see that cries, but you can tell he was holding it in. And I think when he won the NBA championships or something, that's when he said, "Oh, this is for my dad," or, you know, because obviously he was there for him ever since he was young, getting him into basketball and being the person that he is. So he just appreciated his dad in that moment.
It's a good way to honor. Good way to honor him, man.
And obviously, grief back then, early 90s, probably not many people would take seriously, or because social media wasn't around. So obviously, the early way to grieve was probably in public or something.
Like, I'll share this with you. Just obviously the last example of obviously like losing someone and the effect it had on me. But one of my closest friends, Nathan, he died in 2015. One of my friends, you know, Michael Dapper, Big Shaq. We were all around each other from a young age.
Yeah.
So Nathan was a very creative soul, and he gave a lot of us like our first kind of helping hand with like, let's say, a video or something like that. And you might even know, you know, Ramel London. She's a host.
Yeah.
He even gave her one of her first gigs.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? He was one of them guys, like, even before the whole SBTV era, he was already thinking about, you know, creativity. We even had a thing called the Unsigned Stars together. We used to hold raves and stuff together when we were teenagers, all sorts. And obviously he died by suicide. And the effect it had, like, he gave me one of my first videos in terms of like me being vocal and doing spoken word and rapping and stuff like that. And after him passing, it affected all of us. Do you know what I mean? My friend Sean, all of us, it affected all of us, and everyone has continued what they're doing, and we all kind of carry him with us in what we're doing. Do you know what I mean? That gave Dapper a certain fire to continue what he's doing and where he's, look at where he's at now. It gave Ramel that, you know what I mean, she's now a host, she's now you know, a known presenter. She's very well, you know, known for her craft. And you know, my friend Sean, she does like football coaching. She coaches young girls and boys as well in football. So many things that came from him being the way he was and him believing and speaking life over people. He didn't even know at those younger ages what his words and his actions was doing in the lives of others. And it was horrible for me to think that he left the world in that way. He felt like he had to take his own life. It's a long story, but he's still left in that way. And I'm thinking to myself, you don't know the effect you've left behind on the people that were around you. Do you know what I mean? All of us are pushing on in whatever you believed we could do. And for me, it's like, that to me is a big deal. It makes me think how I treat people. I could literally give someone the hope to believe they can become that thing or that person just because of how I am towards them, the words I say. I may never give you money, or I may never do it, you know, or give you a check, but I could tell you can do that. You're capable. Don't believe what they say. Dude, go on, push on, man, press ahead. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. Love is so much more than a feeling and a fuzzy gooey. It's actual intent. It's a decision that you literally choose to make. You get me? So that's how I try to live, man. And that's what I've decided to do.
Honestly, like, it's such that's even throughout this whole conversation, like, just like, it's so, I think it should, everyone listening, watching, should definitely encourage us to be more affectionate, tell people, because you don't know how that small impact, what that can ignite. Do you know what I mean? With your friend, like, may he rest in peace. It's like, through that, okay, you said Dapper start doing his thing, you're doing your thing, the other friends are doing their thing now, all because of how that guy was, and they probably don't understand that. Do you know what I mean? And again, it goes to show, like, even though the person who's always checking up everyone else, they need someone too.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? So
100%.
honestly, man, like, I think it's just give people their flowers, man. Give people their flowers. Seriously, like, you just not. It's not to like kind of do it so they can say, oh, you know what? Okay, I helped that person out. But no, just generally give people
do
their
it.
flowers
Yeah,
because,
man.
and if you see it the way you described it, okay, you just don't know what I can do for them. That's even more encouragement because, okay, you know what? Yeah, I've that 5 minute little or 2 minute text, whatever. You know what? This person's really checked up on me. You know what? That's made my day. Like that should be the intent. I want to make that someone's day. Do you know what I mean? Never mind me. Okay, you know what? Cool. I know. Yeah, everyone's busy. Everyone's doing this and that. But 2 minutes out of my day, 5 minutes out of my day, 10 minutes out of my day. I want to. Do you know what I mean? And whichever. It doesn't have to be anything like major, but just
Yeah, just
anything you can do, and you appreciate. People will appreciate that.
Facts.
Honestly, man. Like honestly, it's been a interesting convo. Like I think I've learned a lot, and as much as I say it now, I do need to. I know I need to do better in terms of like just being more like giving people their flowers, like holding out friends, and stop thinking, oh, what are they gonna think? That's where my problem starts from. Are they gonna think? Are they gonna think? You know,
I get it, man.
it takes time in it,
get
but
it, man.
no, I appreciate you coming on, man.
I'm happy.
Like
Thank you for
honestly,
having me.
like it's been a pleasure, and like I said, we wanna when you asked me earlier about with this whole podcast, we just wanna keep having these conversations, man. Like
Spreading awareness,
you know, so like we just hope that everyone who's listened or watching, like you've definitely taken some few gems from this because there's definitely gems to be taken without a doubt. And hope you've enjoyed it as well. Like I'm proper like rushing because like the time I'm looking at the time, I'm thinking like time is running out. But no, but thank you, DK man. Just briefly, like where can people like find you if they need to holler at you?
Yeah, so literally on all social media is official DK100, official DK100. That's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok as well. I'm on there now.
Okay.
So all social medias. On Spotify, my music is D space K. So I've got music on them. I'm gonna have some new drops coming this month as well.
Nice.
So yeah, that's me.
No, I appreciate that. But as always, guys, thank you for listening. Your hosts, Jermaine and Ben. You can find us at Thinking Out Loud Pod _ on YouTube as well. Subscribe, watch us when it comes out. And like I said, hope gems have been taken. But
you can find us on Apple Podcasts,
Yep.
Spotify, Amazon, and Google.
yeah, Google as well. But yeah, blessings and guidance, everyone.
Have a good weekend.